Very excited. First of all, it's great to see you guys in person. You guys look a lot better than on the Zoom calls we've been doing for a year. But very excited what we were able to get accomplished in the first round tonight. We've tried to move up in the draft. We tried to trade back in the draft. The ability to get 2 third-round picks for tomorrow, giving us 4 third-round picks tomorrow, gives us the flexibility to probably move up into the second round. To get a player like Christian, who we were considering at 14, not only fills a need on his football team, but he's a pure left tackle. We felt when we watched the tape, did group studies on him. To be honest with you, the first time I spoke with him was tonight when we told him that we were going to draft him. I spent a lot of time listening to the Zoom calls that our coaches did with him and how impressive he was as a young man, speaking about his history, speaking about Fork Union to where he ended up at Virginia Tech, listening to our coaches install plays, concepts, pass protections, and how smart he was able to give feedback right away. You watched him as you sat there on a Zoom call taking notes as our coaches talked. So we're very excited about what we were able to get done in the first round tonight. So with that, I'll go ahead and open up for questions.
Hey Rick, what did you think after you traded down from 14 to 23 of the chances at that time that Christian would still be available at 23?
To be honest with you, we were a little tight in the draft room, but we also had, once we got down to about 4 or 5 picks, when you went down to 23, we did try to go back up because we wanted to try to make sure that we got Christian. We were unable to do that, and then, fortunately, we did not have to. We were able to keep our extra picks that we gained and still got the player that we coveted. So it worked out very well for us.
Rick, why do you think Christian dropped as far as he did?
I think, after you get out of that top 10 in the draft, everybody's boards are probably going to be different. You've seen teams kind of manipulating around to make sure they got the guys they wanted. Everybody, I don't want to call, falls in love with a guy that they want to go get. And I think they're all going to be great players. I thought, the team's made a lot of great picks, but, all I can speak of if we were considering the guy strongly at 14 and still able to get him where we got him, that was a great night for us.
When you were talking about trading up from 14, was that still for an offensive lineman, for one of the top tackles?
I won't speak of what we were trading up for. I'll just tell you we were very active making calls up and down all night. In fact, after the third pick, we were working the phones, and I want to give credit to Rob Brzezinski, who leads all that, but Ryan Munnan stepping in for George Payton and the job he's done on this first night, and watching him and Rob work together as they take trade calls, as they manipulate through all the values of the trades that are coming in. And I want to recognize Jamal Stevenson too for his guidance and leadership, and sitting there being able to go back and forth with him on potential prospects that we were trying to trade up for. Do you sit or do you move back, and do we still got a chance? So I have a lot of help in that room, and I'm very, very fortunate to have the people around me that I have.
Rick, what about Christian's skill set fits with the offense that you guys want to run?
I think if you see him move laterally, we're an outside zone scheme, and the athletic ability he has for his size. I think the other thing that stuck out to us as we looked and analytics picked through all these offensive linemen as well, his arm length with his height is typical of a left tackle. I know, he had sports hernia surgery in January that our doctors and Eric Sugarman, and I can't thank them enough for trying to piece together the information that was accessible to us this year. Felt very strongly about it, and I think just his movement skills at the second level, and the one thing that really sticks out to us was his ability in pass protection and how patient of a player he is.
Rick, when there's a quarterback on the board and you guys are picking, how tough is that to pass up, just knowing that not a lot of teams have the option to draft, a potential top 5 quarterback in the draft?
Yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. But all I'm worried about is what we were trying to get accomplished tonight.
Like going through the medical side of things with Christian, and just with all these players, but specifically with that.
We were getting stuff. I got 2 more reports in about 2 hours before the draft started, which is, that's what we were dealing with this year. Last year we had our medical meeting and everything buttoned up from the medical side, after the rechecks in April. So we usually have our medical meeting a week before, but that's with everything done at the original combine and in April when they bring it back for the medical rechecks. So this was very, I guess the best term to use is piecemeal together. But if we didn't have an Eric Sugarman that it was the lead on all this, and his capabilities and how he handled everything, we wouldn't probably have been as prepared as we were.
After making the trade, how do you feel now about your positioning for tomorrow night with 4 third-round picks, including one being the second in the third round?
Yeah, that was critical too. If you're the second pick in the third round, it gives you a lot of opportunity to do a lot of things tomorrow. So it could be, we move up into we have more than enough ammunition, I believe, to move up into the second round, or maybe we move down and get 6 third-round picks. No, just kidding. We'll see what happens tomorrow. It's like I said, you get a lot of calls, and I don't put a lot into those calls until you're actually on the clock, or until teams are 2 or 3 picks ahead of you or 2 or 3 picks below you, because then you have a better vision of what player is going to fall to you.
You mentioned Christian's athleticism, but how much did it factor in that this is a kid that also played college football?
Yeah, that was big, because we got to actually see him play, and we saw him play against some pretty good competition in the ACC. That helps with the evaluation, because when we're looking at all these guys that had opted out, you're basically going off of what you saw in 19 and then not seeing them unless they did show up down at the Senior Bowl for practices, and some of those guys didn't play. And a lot of times why I was out on the road in March so much at these pro days, because I wasn't able to get out in the fall, and I haven't even seen these guys in person, even in 19, because I didn't know, if some of these juniors were going to come out or not. So I think that was a critical piece of, I don't want to say just trying to be as safe of a bet as possible, because there was more history on what you were seeing.
Whether it was first round, second round, whatever, was it important to get a starting offensive lineman out of this draft for you?
Yeah, no, Christian has to come in and do his part. Right now we're just trying to accumulate as much talent as we can to add to what we were able to do in free agency. So getting that offensive tackle in the first round gives us a lot of flexibility to go to a lot of different directions tomorrow at numerous positions.
Could you ever imagine a scenario where the first time you're talking to a first-round pick is the call where you're telling him that you've drafted him?
I'm sorry, Craig.
Yeah, so could you ever imagine a scenario in which the first time you're talking to a first-round pick is the call after you've turned in the card?
Yeah, because usually I've spoken with him at the Combine. I've spoken with him at the Senior Bowl. This was, although last time I spoke to Harrison Smith was at the Senior Bowl because we coached him, but we never talked to him again after that, even at the Combine. So, but I knew all of the information that we had. I watched an hour and a half of his. We had numerous calls with him on Zoom. I know Rick Dennison and Phil Rauscher both spent an hour with him on their Zoom call. So I got more out of that hour watching his mannerisms and watching how he reacted to what the coaches installed than maybe I probably get in the 15 minutes that we usually get at the Combine, although we do follow up from the Combine. So I relied more, and the other thing that was a little bit different is usually in March, because I don't go to as many pro days because I've already seen him at the Combine or I've seen him at the All-Star games. This scenario, I was out on the road so much and traveling that I didn't get an opportunity to maybe reach out like I normally would. But I know everybody that had talked with him, that had been through the process with him. I rely a lot and trust all the people that have done that.
Thanks, everyone. We'll have Zoom next.
All right, thank you. Are you guys coming back here tomorrow? We're back on Zoom.
We're here for afternoon.